That's all I got to say about that today.
Well, I need to know, what did you do with the cake? What did you do with the cake and the wine?
I gave it away. Okay. I gave it away.
You made someone's day happy, at least.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything with it.
I hope it didn't say your name on it, because then that'd be a little awkward. Here's a Tish cake.
I'm sorry. Welcome to the SoldOut Sales Podcast, the podcast that will equip both the seasoned sales professional and the more reluctant seller with mindset shifts and strategies needed to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Hey everybody, welcome back to the SoldOut Sales Podcast. This week, I am talking to you about something that I hear every single week, sometimes daily, from my clients. And I'm thinking if I'm hearing this question a lot, then the likelihood is then other people are having it also. So I'm going to make this really quick disclaimer. I am not a marketing expert. I am a sales expert, but they are two different things. However, on a regular basis, clients will ask me to review their language when they're putting out an offer, when they're putting things on their website, even sometimes when they're making a post, to see if it has good conversion language. Meaning, when people read it, is it going to inspire them to take that next action? And so I often, although I'm not a marketing expert, I definitely can identify good conversion language or the lack thereof. So we're going to talk about it today. As I've been doing for the last few episodes, whenever I'm here by myself, I love having some feedback from our producer. So you're going to get a chance to hear a little bit from Taylor Wellman as well, because she's been in business for a really long time also and has some amazing insights on some of this. So I think that she'll add a little bit to this conversation as well. So if you have questions about conversion language or making sure that you're a lot more, I'm not going to say a little more, a lot more, attractive to your potential clients, and you're wanting to make sure that you're showing up well, whether you're putting things on your website, you're putting offers out in the marketplace, you're putting your proposals out, especially if you're putting out an offer for people to come to an event, share it with me. I'd love to talk with you about it, and I'll answer them if you'll drop them in the comment box. So one of the things that I hear people say often, and I want to start with this because it's probably my biggest pet peeve, is when many entrepreneurs will put things on their website or on their copy that will say something like, if you're struggling to lose weight,
Gosh, yes.
if you're struggling to get to your next six figures, and this is the thing that I find, when we put that type of language in our marketing or in our sales copy, what we're actually doing is, okay, this is something, I'm not going to take credit for this. I have a really dear friend who actually uses this, so it's not mine originally, but language is a locator. So the words that we use, that language goes out and pulls in exactly what we're calling for. So when we're saying, are you struggling? Guess what we're going to get?
People struggling.
People who are
Sounds
struggling.
Sounds like dating, like if you're a mess, you're going to collect messes. And
it's like it sounds good, and people have taught it for years. So, no disrespect to those who have taught that, but I just found in real life, I found it in my own business when I was saying things like, if you're really having a hard time closing sales, and you really can't get any new clients, then call me. And guess what? All of the expertise that I might bring to the table is not necessarily helpful for them because there's something else happening on the inside of them that's repelling their ideal clients. It's not necessarily just the language. And so if you're saying things like that, or you feeling stuck and you want to get unstuck, that sounds good. But again, remember the stuck feeling that they have is not as a result of their lack of expertise. There's something much deeper that unless you're a therapist or Jesus, you probably cannot fix them. And so stick within the thing that you really help people to do. And so that in and of itself is one of the things that I generally will be looking for. Is like, let's change that language to who you really want.
Yeah.
So I will always say something that I say pretty much daily is, I'm looking for high-performing, high-achieving, very successful female entrepreneurs who are amazing at what they do, yet they still struggle a little bit, or they need a little help rather with their sales conversations or with their sales conversion. But I'm attracting the people who are exactly at the level I want, opposed to the people who are just like barely getting by.
Yeah, you're already attracting the winners.
Yes.
And those that just want that extra leg up versus the entire leg.
I know, right? Yeah, very true. We're not even going to go there. But it's just important that we recognize our language is a locator. And I'm a big proponent of words. I take words really seriously. So something you'll never hear me say this. And it like when I hear other people say it, I'm like, stop saying that. People will say things like, oh, my head is killing me. I don't say that because my head is not killing me. My head might hurt right now, but it's not killing me. I won't say I'm starving to death. I am not starving to death. I am well fed and I could probably go another day without eating if I needed to, you know? So I'm really big on words. As for me as a believer, I really believe that we have to be very intentional with the words that we use. And so when we're doing our sales copy, it's same. It's like, be really intentional. Know that you're going to attract what you're putting out there.
That's so true. It reminds me actually of a documentary series I helped out with, the Forgotten Healthcare, and we had a little segment about people overusing the word crazy or saying, you know, oh, the weather's so bipolar. And it's like when you use those hyperboles, you actually could be hurting someone indirectly. And so like, oh, this, you know, I'm so starving, it's killing me. Like, well, no, there's actually some people starving.
Yeah, there's people. Let's show you what that really looks like. Yeah, because it's a real thing in other countries for certain. So
even in ours,
even in ours, you're absolutely right, for sure. The thing that I love is understanding what's the purpose for what you are putting on your website, in your copy, on your social. This is the thing that I love when clients are preparing to like do a speaking engagement. That's when I want to see what they're talking about, because I'm so aware of how we can seed in conversion language throughout our talk. And I think that many times we miss opportunities because we're just like talking. We're just talking without intention, really talking about how passionate we are about the thing or how much we can help change their lives. And that's great. But at the end of the day, if they don't understand that not only are you an expert in talking about this thing, you can actually help them to be able to get to their next level, we're missing an opportunity. So some of the conversion language is just in the way we're seeding things, whether we're on a stage, even when we're in social, doing, webinars, all of those things. So I think we miss opportunities to be able to share the opportunity that we provide for our clients.
Definitely. And a lot of times I feel too, people will talk, share a lot of information, get people super excited, and then nothing.
Yeah. So, the best lesson I learned, it's so embarrassing to tell this story, but it's the best lesson I've learned. So I was putting on in El Paso for years, for probably about 8 years before I moved to Arizona. I had monthly networking events. They were wildly successful. They sold out pretty much every single month. Loved doing them. And then once a year, I did something called a red dress event. And it was fancy.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, a fancy evening event. And then we would collect toys and take them to, organizations with children that needed them. It was just great. But when I first started doing those events, I'd probably been doing them a good 3 months, maybe even longer. And I'll never forget, I'll shout out Dolores Mendez in El Paso, Texas, said this to me. And it was, once again, it was embarrassing because I'm in the presence of all of these new, connections and ideal clients and people who are in the room and they're hungry for this information. And she said, Tish, so how do we actually work with you? You never tell us how we can actually hire you. And I was just like, I could not believe it. I was having so much fun. I was loving what I was doing. I was passionate about it. And at no point did I ever share a call to action. And it was like, ding, 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 ding in the worst way, but I never did that again. Never, ever did I have an opportunity to share, with people about all of the great techniques and tools and, tips that I could offer to them without also giving them an opportunity to take the next step if they want to, because what we do otherwise is we leave them stranded.
Yeah. We leave them excited for what you can do, but with no actual action to take.
Exactly. I mean, I just can imagine now looking back, I'm like getting all excited and I'm telling you, and you could do this and you should be doing this. And then getting back to my office going, but how? I don't know you know what I mean? How do I do that? Stuff sounded great. And how do I make this work? And so we do our audience a disservice when we don't create a clear and compelling call to action on all of the stages that we might stand on. Like I said, whether it's on your website, whether it's on your social media, whether it's literally in front of a group of people, that's part of your conversion language, is being able to invite them to an opportunity to get better through the services that you provide.
So with this call to action, though, is it like a Cheesecake Factory menu or a Maestro's menu?
It's definitely going to be very, very, I say clear, I forgot to say concise and compelling. Because so I'll tell you something else people don't know about me is this. When you give me too much information, I'm kind of like, my brain stops, it's like, okay, we're going to the movies. Literally, it's like, if it gets to be too much, now you lost me before I got to the actual offer. And so it's important for us to be so clear, so concise, and so compelling to where it's very easy for them to say yes, and make it easy for people to say yes to you, regardless of whatever platform you're on. Again, an actual platform or social media or a website platform, make it easy for people to say yes to you. I can't remember who I learned this from, but this was such a great example. She was talking about being in an actual room, but I can kind of, use this comparison in any other way as well. She was talking about being in a room doing a workshop, and then at the end of the offer, at the end of the session, she was making an offer. And in her offer, she was handing out, this is a long time ago, of course, she was handing out actual paper for people to sign up and say, hey, if you'd like to take this course, just go ahead and fill it out, put your credit card information, and we'll, all that, right? Well, what happened is she handed out all these papers and she didn't hand out any pens. And interestingly, this is the funny thing. She had pens up front, but in the time it took for her to hand out those papers, find out that she didn't put out pens, go back to the front of the room and get the pens. Now people are kind of chatting between each other. A phone rings. Somebody's saying, you know what, I think I'm going to take this home with me. And whereas had she been prepared in that moment, that call to action would have been so much more effective because people were ready. But that 35, 45 seconds, however long it took her to make that adjustment, all of these distractions came about and she lost opportunities. And I love that she shared that because it was so clear to me how when we're not clear on our call to action, even on your website, if they have to keep scrolling to figure out what exactly it is that you're offering, many people will stop before they get all the way to the end. So it's like, how do we make sure that our conversion language is not only clear and compelling, but it's also positioned well enough to where people can easily say yes to you. And if you're obviously in a room, that you're making it easy for them to say yes to you in that room as well, right? So,
yeah, I do wonder if people just fear sometimes the call to action, like, oh, I'm being too pushy.
Oh, for sure.
I shouldn't really do that. They'll ask me if they want more information.
Yeah, I'll say to you, for those of you all who say that, keep waiting. Because the likelihood is very low. It's not impossible. And yes, some people will. Some people really are motivated and they will reach out at a later date. However, this is what happens. The moment you step off of the stage, once again, whether that's on a webinar, your social, wherever you're compelling these people to interact with you, the moment they get off of your page, the moment they get off of your, out of that room, it's not that they now say, oh, you know what, Taylor was full of it, it wasn't good. No, they still loved you, but now again, the phone rings, they got to pick up the kids from school, they got to think about what they're making for dinner, they got to get ready for something else, another event or whatever, and now you who were at the very top of their priority list in that moment when you had their full attention, you begin to fall down, and by the time they get to their car, girl, you are out of their mind. Yes. And now you have to start all over again, if you will, to try to, to capture their attention. And so the language you're using in all of the mediums that you might be communicating with people, that call to action has to be clear and has to be easy. And it has to be, you have to give them the opportunity to say yes now. If in fact they're ready to, let them say yes now. Don't make them have to think about how can I do this later. So another great example is I was trying to buy something online. I forget who it was with now, but I was trying to buy something online. And every time I'd hit the buy button, it wouldn't allow me to buy. Yeah, it wouldn't allow me to purchase. Yeah. And so instead of me calling them and saying, hey, Mr. Business Owner, your buy button isn't working, guess what I did?
Went somewhere else.
I went somewhere else where it was easy to purchase.
Yeah.
And so again, you may be thinking, well, that's not conversion language. Well, yeah, it actually is. Because if I'm not making the buying process easy for people to make their purchase, they're not going to, the average person, I'll say, won't go through the necessary hoops or steps to require to get to that purchase. They'll probably just go somewhere where it's actually easier.
So would you recommend someone to go through their own customer journey to see what that's like?
You better. And I wouldn't even say go through it yourself. And let me tell you why I found this is not, because on my computer, on my IP, some of the things that I see, my cookies, I guess it is, have already stored certain things for me. And so it works on my system. I would advise you to have someone outside of your office that's not familiar with your brand to go through your entire customer journey. Someone that you trust, obviously, maybe a sister or brother or somebody, but not someone that you're trying to purchase.
Not a yes man, though. Yeah,
exactly. But someone who's going to give you feedback and be able to see things that you just can't see. Because otherwise, you're thinking everything is working, and the likelihood is very high that it's not. Have you ever gone to a networking event or a conference and found that although you made great connections and you walked away with a stack full of business cards, you still didn't have a real plan for how to get a good return on your investment of both time and money? Well, let me tell you, having a networking and sales planner is a way for you to be more intentional about the way that you network.
Hey, I'm Susan Gladstein. I'm a functional nutrition and metabolism specialist, and I got connected with Tish because she is a rock star at systems and sales. And so I downloaded the planner to help get my brain organized as I went through a rebrand and launched a new course. And it's really helped me sort of get things out of my head and onto paper so that I can actually do follow-ups and not just rely on my brain. So far it's rocking my world and making my business systems that were non-existent actually have some sort of structure. So I love it. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed.
I've been working with sales professionals for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that when they don't have a plan, they do nothing. They sit at their desk and wonder what to do. Well, with this networking and sales planner, you have profit producing activities for every single day of the week. It tells you where to go, what to say, even gives you prompts as to how to interact with people that you don't know. If you're an introvert and you feel like this isn't for you, I have already thought of you because I understand exactly how introverts think. So this gives you the tools enabling you to be armed with words, with language, so that you can make your networking more profitable.
Hey everyone, Rachel Neighbors here from solo401k.com. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about how awesome this sales networking planner is that Tish put out. So as you can see, I have it on my Remarkable. That's my sort of e-ink planner. And this sales planner has been so helpful for me. So I'm an old school pay-per-click marketer. I do Google ads, Facebook ads, and I know how to turn advertising into profit. But I didn't know how to turn network sales into profit. And when I met Tish, this woman literally wrote the book on networking called, Networking is Not a One-Night Stand. And she's put that experience and that energy and those valuable tips into this networking sales planner. And I just think that it can be so powerful for you in your business. I know it's been really helpful for me and mine. One thing that Tish told me is, Rachel, when you meet someone, put them into your planner and then follow up with them like they're a lead that you've generated on Google Ads or that you followed up with or that you've generated on Facebook. And that has been so helpful and transformative in my business. So thank you, Tish, for this awesome planner.
Maybe you don't even like networking. You say things like, networking doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, when you have a plan in place, you have some intention, and you have the tools to be able to make it work, you will see a different result. My new networking and sales planner is a game changer. It's the difference between you going to an event, wandering around and walking away without any purpose and without any new money, and walking into an event with a plan, with a purpose, and being able to convert new clients into your business. No one wants to feel inauthentic and pushy or even salesy when following up. So frequently we just don't do it at all. Well, the profitable follow-up formula, which is in the back of your networking and sales planner, will give you the tools and the language and the frequency with which you should be following up so that it feels very authentic. It feels genuine and natural both to you and to the people that you're reaching out to. Go to tishtimes.com/planner to get your digital or physical version of your planner.
Hi, my name is Cheryl James from CL James Consulting, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how awesome this networking sales planner is. I started intentionally networking at the beginning of this year, and I have been using my planner on a regular basis, not only to get inspiration, but to track the people I want to meet and the people I have met, and to make sure that I follow up with them from week to week. So if you are looking to network intentionally and hold yourself accountable, this planner is a must-have.
And once you get your planner, you'll also receive a video series that's going to teach you how to maximize your networking and how to use this planner to get the best result and best return on your investment of both time and money. If you are ready to stop wasting time with networking and turn your networking into a sales machine, then go to tishtimes.com/planner and grab your networking and sales planner. And I also want to, talk about when we're talking about using conversion language, also sometimes when we're communicating in our proposals, for instance, specifically proposals, but proposals, offer letters, things of that nature, sometimes we're using so much language that it's making it hard for them to finally get to the point. They've changed their mind from the moment you say, welcome, I'm so glad you've made a decision to work with us, just sign this and get signed up, They've changed their mind almost because there's so much information. So I also have a client who's made this change already. But when we first started working together, her process for people to actually sign up for her service, I don't remember how many pages it was. It was that long. It was pages of information in a PDF format for them to have to go through and read and all of that. And if you're not a lawyer or a doctor or someone who has that from a legal perspective, don't make it that difficult. I know you love all the things you do and you want to tell them all the great things, but if you're making it too long, too intense, it creates an environment where people are like, you know what, almost like, never mind, it's just too much. Or they just don't get to it. It's not even that they're saying no, they're just like, I'll come back to it later. Yeah. So it prolongs them saying yes. And in that time, sometimes people make a decision to just opt out at that point.
Yeah, it is a hard balance though, because I do feel like there's clauses you want to have. You do discover that, and that's why I know one of your guests that you had on, Sarah, I believe it was episode 9 or so. She is a lawyer that can look at those contracts, and I'm sure could give you a third party, non-biased view of what is actually needed and not.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll tell you another great way. Now get the attorney, get the lawyer to look at your contracts, but check this out. What if instead of sending them a lengthy proposal, right, to ask them to go ahead and convert or to say yes to your offer, what if you set up a Zoom call and went through it with them?
Definitely.
Because even if it is a lengthier, if you have something that you have to go through, you can actually walk them through it so it doesn't feel so daunting when they're trying to read it themselves.
And especially if you have nuances that are so industry specific, unless you're working someone within your industry, there might be things that they just don't understand. And the whole goal is to not have confusion.
And guess what? I'm telling you, this is the one thing that prevents probably about 80% of people, have you ever sent someone a proposal and you're just like, hey, Mr. Such, are you going to sign that proposal? We're just waiting for your signature. Oh, yeah. Hey, we'll get started the moment we get that proposal back. You're waiting for them. That's one of the ways to stop that, that kind of almost ghosting, that kind of happens once again. Many times they get busy or time happens and now they're distracted and they're just kind of like, you know what, I think we'll wait. We'll try that in 2026. All of those things happen many times because we've created this lengthy sales process. Even if we have good language, if we don't have a good process to get them through it, then the likelihood is we're going to lose that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that happens. So we want to help you shorten your sales cycle, make sure that the language that you're using in all of the ways you're communicating with clients is motivating them to say yes sooner rather than later, and is allowing you to see more people saying yes. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I'll share is this. Whenever you're communicating with your audience, your prospective audience, your potential clients, keep them in mind. I forget, I was talking with someone earlier and they were talking about how they were excited about their thing and they found that their thing wasn't what everyone else wanted, right? And so many times we're talking to ourselves instead of talking to our ideal clients. And so therefore, the language we're using isn't resonating and we're wondering why. Although we're saying what we think are the right things and we're putting out all of this content and no one is really paying attention, take the time to find out who are the people that need you the most, that you work well with, that you actually enjoy working with, and then speak to them directly. Mm-hmm. So the thing that made the biggest change for me, just in the way that I speak and talk to people, is creating my avatars. And this works for lots of companies, maybe not all, but I want you to consider if you had, so one of my client avatars is Introvert Irene. Introvert Irene is based on a combination of several clients that I've worked with. And because I understand her so well, there's a little bit of me in Introvert Irene. Is Introvert Irene? Yeah, Introvert Irene has a lot of me in there as well. But I understand her really well. And so in the first few seconds of a conversation with someone, I know if I'm dealing with Introvert Irene, with Sales Leader Susan, or with Networking Nancy, which are the people I tend to attract. And that alone helps me when I'm putting out content to who is this talking to? This is talking to Introvert Irene. This is talking to Sales Leader Susan. This is talking to, and that way, the language speaks to, it draws in, and it causes them to actually respond. And occasionally when I send out an email, someone will actually email me back and go, oh my God, you were talking directly to me. And I'm like, yes, we hit it, right? We did exactly what we were trying to do. But I think often we either don't take the time to do that research or we're talking to ourselves because we think that everyone else wants exactly what we want.
Right. And along those same lines too, perhaps getting some information like DISC and understanding like bank codes and like different, like if you're talking to me or you're talking to my husband, like those are two different conversations. You could be saying the same message, but it better come out so differently for us to read because we're such opposites. Yes. And so it's sometimes really, beyond like with that avatar, it's like, okay, are they detail oriented? Are they type A personality? Are they jump, quick start? What is it? Because that all makes a difference.
It definitely does. I think it's funny because anyone who pays attention to me, and I'm going to test you right now on this because I know you know this answer. Anyone who knows me really well and pays attention even to my social knows that my favorite beverage is...
coffee.
There we go, right?
Phew, I was scared.
It's coffee. Yes. And to be honest with you, the average person, maybe not everybody, but the average person who pays attention to my social also probably at least can make the assumption based on the way that I post it, I don't drink. It's just, you know what I mean? Yeah. We're pastors. I don't drink. Yeah. And so
coffee and hiking.
Coffee and hiking, right?
Family.
Right? And they might even know that I'm gluten-free. So I won't make everybody know that one. But I just found it interesting. And again, no disrespect, no shade, no harm or whatever. But for someone that was trying to sell to me to bring me a bottle of wine and a cake that has sugar and gluten, and I'm just like, bro, you just lost all your cool points with me. I can't even, I'm like, you just told me everything I need to know about the research you did about me.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, pay attention to the people that you say you care about, right? You say you care about these people. You want to help them, but the evidence is in how you're communicating with them. How are you identifying them? How is your language pulling them in, drawing them, attracting them, causing them to want to be in your space because you're talking to them based on the fact that you know them well. So that's all I got to say about that today.
Well, I need to know, what did you do with the cake? What did you do with the cake and the wine?
I gave it away. Okay. I gave it away.
You made someone's day happy at least.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything with it.
I hope it didn't say your name on it because then that'd be a little awkward. Here's a Tish cake.
I'm sorry. Nothing I can do about it. There's no one in my house because although my husband would have loved to eat the cake, he's not supposed to eat sugar either. So
sorry,
I'm
Roy.
like, their whole house. I'm like, there's nobody in our house who can do anything with this because, so I had to give it away. So even, don't quit giving your coffee drinking clients wine, if you will, in your copy and the way you're communicating with them.
Yeah.
Hear them, ask them questions. I tell my clients, go survey some of your current clients. And, check this out, game changer right here. So one of the reasons that I record all of my sales calls is, number one, I want to, capture my notes so I don't have to stop and be reading or, taking notes. But more importantly, I hear what they're saying and I use it in my marketing. They're telling you exactly what they're looking for when you're having those conversations.
Huge.
So all of those sales conversations, they turn into my marketing copy.
That's huge. Yeah, love
so listen, pay attention, take the time necessary to hear what they're saying because they're telling you what they need.
Right.
They're telling you what they're looking for. They're telling you what they want, even on social. And to be honest with you, pay attention. You'll find that out there as well. So take the time, learn what they're saying, learn what they're looking for, and then use language that actually meets their need. And so interestingly, this is the last thing I'll say about this. Men are attracted by their eyes, what they see, which is, we know this because men are like, ooh, she looks pretty, whatever, right? Women are attracted by what they hear. So if your target audience is female, you need to be paying even more attention to what you are saying in your copy, on your video, although you know this, right? It's like they're listening for specific things. And now I'm leaning in because you've said something that has captured my full attention.
Yeah, and speaking to you and saying if you are a successful business person, if you are also a hardworking mom, and if
Yes, I get you. And I'm very much me. In my marketing, I'm very intentionally me. So I'll say, girl, I get you, girl. I know you. I've been there, and I will use that language because that's really authentic to me. You got to use what's authentic to you. But at the end of the day, they need to feel like she hears me, she sees me, she knows me, right? So when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing in your communication with your clients, keep these things in mind and then do research. I'm not a marketing expert. I do not claim to be one. I do not play one on TV. But these things I do know for certain is if you will care enough about your clients, your potential clients, to speak directly to the needs that they have. And I'm not even talking about their pain so much as what do they need? Who are they? And what are they really looking for? You'll find that people will be more responsive. You'll see a higher conversion. And you'll see people actually, making a choice to say yes to you more often than they probably are right now. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out and have a great week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I would be so appreciative if you would show me and my amazing guests some love by leaving a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, go over to tishtimes.com/resource page and make sure you pick up your sales and networking handbook, especially for introverts. Also, I'd love to continue this conversation, so make sure you connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll see you back here next week.